welcome to PlayStation Access. My name's Nathan. I'm here with Dave.
Hello.
Dave, cars.
Yes. Yeah.
Driving.
Yeah.
This is Dirt 4.
Okay.
And the title of this video is How Dirt 4 Creates Infinite Rally Stages.
Yeah, this is quite a big claim, Nath. I hope you've got the facts to back this up, because infinite is a lot.
I don't actually know if it's infinite.
Okay.
Okay, but what it does have is a system called Your Stage.
Right.
Which, look, you can see here, we're generating stuff. So they've got 5 locations, and they're like kind of, I was talking to Paul, a man from Codemasters, was telling me about this, and I was saying, so are these just geographical sort of boxes, and then it cleverly plots a road through them? And he said, yes, that is what it is. So you can kind of see him here. What he's trying to do is generate for me a course here which has got some towns in it in Spain,
okay,
so that I can drive through it. And he found one in a second. They randomly pop up. But what you do is you change the length and the complexity, and the longer, he made it a bit longer to find the towns. And the complexity it's not quite difficulty, because he said that some straight courses are unexpectedly difficult, but the complexity does give you more chance of having a greater number of sharp turns.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
So it's kind of as you would expect. And once you put those kind of variations in, the algorithm does its business, and it pops out a track for you. And then one of the things I really liked, I mean, all of these tracks are, they're obviously individual to you having pressed the square button to generate them. But then you can share them with people, and you can upload, so other people can compete. So if you get a really good one and you're like, no, this one's really fun, and it'd be like, me and my friends could compete on this one, that's totally a thing you can do.
Yeah, and so you can set a time and you can compete on that time. It's not just a waste of like, I'll never again, no one's ever going to play this one. You can make it so that people can play it and can compete against you.
Yeah, exactly. And there was, so I've let this one play out a little bit. It's actually a 5-minute race or stage. So I have chopped into it a little bit, but you can kind of see, you get a feeling for the fact that even though it has been procedurally generated, it plays like a stage. And I was chatting, Paul and I, about the differences in the tracks that you get and what these kind of things, what they kind of mean for the game, apart from kind of the endless variety of it, which is exciting. And what they were saying is basically that the nature of the game, it being much easier to start, to play a stage over and over again on a video game than it is in a real car.
Yeah.
You have to get back to the beginning, and you're normally in a race situation, means that some of the experience of rallying was lost. And he was saying that what these procedurally generated stages do is obviously you will prepare in if you're actually rallying, you will know the course, but your co-driver becomes much more important now, because you could basically be playing new stages in this game forever, and you will never run out of them, and you have to really listen to the instructions, know what they mean, and pay attention to what's coming. Otherwise you just fly off the road. So I think it's they wanted to capture the immediacy of rally driving, and it is definitely a much sterner moment-to-moment test of your driving ability. Seeing those symbols, listening to your co-driver, and then knowing what that actually means and what you should expect, and then doing that, and then still, hitting the corners and racing any kind of speed. It's actually quite a difficult thing.
It's really, really smart. Like I totally understand that. Rally is a very individual kind of discipline, and so it doesn't make sense to have tracks that you do over and over and over and over again and shave off milliseconds and milliseconds. That's not really what rally is about.
No,
it's
still there. I just thought it was a really interesting way that, because procedural generation is quite a big thing in games at the moment, and I thought it was a really interesting way of bringing it into kind of a real world kind of simulation area. I'm not saying this is a simulation or arcade game, but I'm saying, something which tries to replicate a thing you do in real life. Pairing the two things together to kind of make it, to capture the authenticity of the experience. I thought that was cool. And the other thing he said is that it's given them the opportunity to, he said that, I really enjoyed this chat. Sorry, so I'm just moving now. We're going to a different place.
Okay.
Australia is much dustier. And actually I tried to look for something which illustrates the point I'm just about to make, which was he was saying that when you're designing a stage in a game, normally you wouldn't do this. You see that, so he wasn't actually talking to me at this point, but you see that massive straight.
Yeah.
He says if you've got, like, his example is if you've got 12 kilometers of track in a stage and 2 kilometers are straight, then maybe, you know, players might have a reason to feel like that's sort of featureless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like, you haven't worked to that. And they're always conscious of obviously delivering value and the experience. And I guess I'd never thought about rally stages being designed in the same way that, you know, like a platforming level or a first-person shooter level, and the idea that even though real stages in real life sometimes do have straights, and sometimes he was saying they're really hard because you might not be able to see over a crest, and you have no idea how quickly you should be going, and it might be hard to judge even though you know what your co-driver's saying, and so procedural generation, because they're no longer worried about we are giving you a finite number of stages and the straight bits don't really count to the value that we should be providing you for this game you've bought, it's kind of freed them up a little bit. And so I guess within the algorithm, sometimes they say you can have straights.
Yeah.
And so it's giving us a variety back that we didn't have before. Yeah, I thought that was really...
It is really interesting. So I guess what we're saying is that this Your Stage mode is probably the most realistic simulation of rallying within the game, because you don't, you know, you get stuff that the world, because rally stages in the world are based on, you know, they're on real roads that people made not to be rally stages but to be real roads to get you somewhere. You know, you get things that aren't like...
I just want to point out my car's getting more and more beaten up.
It is getting more and more beaten up. It's getting wrecked.
Out all the...
I can't just believe how good it looks in terms of, like, I thought being procedurally generated. Whoops. I like that your mirror was just rolling in front of you there.
I just thought I'd leave that. And this one, sorry, I was going to point out, this one's in Sweden, similarly kind of procedurally generated, but I wanted to just chuck in some different weather, so I put the fog on. I did very badly in Australia.
Right.
I did much better.
We only got a little bit of Australia. It didn't go well.
Yeah,
I thought being procedurally generated, you might kind of see the joins a bit. You might recognise you know, like tiles, like, oh, and here's that left turn I saw earlier, and I don't
know how the game is handling that stuff. I don't know how much. I mean, it looks like, I mean, I sat there and pressed square for ages. They look like completely different. Certainly in terms of the route is very different every time.
Yeah.
Well, how many pieces they've got that they're piecing together, and how they're kind of... I mean, I guess the point is, if they do it well, we don't need to know.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
It's something you just never...
I think that's the point. Like they obviously have, like, the illusion is real. That there's no way for you to play this stage right now and not know that a designer has sat down and actually done it. Like, it just seems exactly like that. It's mad that it's been procedurally generated, and that's super exciting because you're going to be able to play this game forever and always have something new to do.
I like that. And if you've got a group of friends who are into it and are kind of playing it as well, then you know, the sharing means that there's no reason that competition can't still exist online.
And it's a real sort of leveler as well, where you go, well, let's see who's the best. Let's generate a new stage right now and let's sit down and do it.
I know, man, and we should probably stick it in one-on-onesie when it comes out.
Absolutely.
For that exact reason. God, that would be tense.
Yes.
Just a couple of things. We've got a couple of minutes of video left to go, but just so things, because I know Holly has covered this, and if you haven't seen that video, we will put up a link to it now, and you can that'll probably be in the end card as well, so you can see that. She covered off lots of the basics really well. Just chatting about, there is a new career mode, and I think that it's a kind of you start off as a driver for hire, and you can build up into having your own team, and you get to hire members of your crew and stuff. That sounds really good. 15 hours critical path and up to 150 hours if you like nail everything, and that's like before you get into
there
I was so annoyed.
Is.
Look at this, right? I was first all the way. Look where I crashed, man. What is going on there? Come on now.
Oh no.
So that sucked. But 150 hours in total before you get into the procedural generation. There are kind of historic rally races. There's Land Rush as well, and there's Rally Cross, which is probably the mode that I enjoyed the most because I could really throw those cars around the corners a little bit, which if you try and do that in the rally, it turns out you just flip your car, as I showed over and over again. I was just impressed by the package, man. I think, and the other thing was that I think that Dirt Rally, a lot of their feedback was the handling model was pretty serious.
Yeah.
So they have got two kind of parallel. There's got like a gamer's kind of handling, Dave, I think they've called it, just to give you the feel of hero driving. That's what they said.
Nice.
I mean, that's what I was on here, and I still was by no means, you know, the assister obviously helping me, but not keeping me on the road all the time, and that means split leaderboards and things like that. So there's going to be people on the existing ones and the people on the game is handling. They're going to be completely separate. I do have loads of other information, but I didn't really want to cross over with Holly's videos too much. So if you do have a question, just put it down there in the comments. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and stay subscribed to Access for everything PlayStation.